Hey everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of the Peak Signing Agents podcast and YouTube channel. I appreciate you coming on. This podcast and YouTube channel is to help you become the best notary and signing agent that you can possibly be. My name is Derek Van Otten. You can call me DVO. I am the owner of a nationwide signing service called Peak Signing, and we've just had incredible back-to-back months in business. I feel blessed. I truly feel blessed. I hope you are also getting a ton of blessings. Well, we just wrapped up another amazing month in, like I just said. And I just have an important note that I want to share with everyone that watches and listens. I had a lot of mistakes come up, and I've seen a lot of my signing service owner friends with some complaints. And when they complain and say, hey, these notaries missed the last pickup, that's a red flag for a lot of us signing service owners, and we don't want to maybe work with that notary. So I want to help you not get blacklisted by a ton of signing services and to make everyone happy. And that is to pay attention, and I hope you're paying attention. Pay close attention to the disbursement date. More likely than not, the disbursement date is the date that they need documents in their office to fund the loan, the mortgage, the deed of trust, whatever you want to call it. More likely than not, the disbursement date is the date they need it. You can find the disbursement date on the settlement statement and on the closing disclosure. It is always there. The disbursement date is always at the top of the closing disclosure and the settlement statement. It's always there. That's the date they are trying to fund the loan, the mortgage. They need the documents back on that date. Look for the disbursement date. Sometimes the disbursement date is empty. It is very rare, but it does happen. Just assume it's tomorrow. All right? Let's just assume it's tomorrow. What happens if you don't make it? We are in the service industry. We provide notary service on mortgage documents. You as a signing agent are saying, yes, I understand my role. I am to help print these mortgage documents, drive them to the signer's location, sign everything, make sure they didn't miss any signatures, initials, dates. Then we, as the notary signing agents, make sure we get everything stamped and shipped out in time before the last pickup. That is our job. And if you do not perform your job, there should be some type of consequences. Maybe you get a reduction in fee. Maybe you're not getting paid. You have to watch out. Every single signing service does have some special instructions about that. Or maybe you work direct. Maybe they might not pay you. You should give yourself ample time to do everything I just said. Get everything printed, drive, signed, stamped, shipped out, maybe even scanned back. If it says scans and you took the order, you need to give yourself ample time to get those scans and ship them out in time. But you should always be paying attention to the disbursement date. Let's just say the appointment's at 3 o'clock and the signing service says we want scans. And you say, you know what? This of signing's at 3 o'clock. However, the disbursement date does say tomorrow. I do not have time to sign, do scans, and make the last pickup. Well, what should you do? Communicate. Always communicate. You can't over communicate. Reach out to who hired you and said, hey, I know you want scans on this, but with this appointment being at 3 o'clock and last pickup is 4:30, let's say, I don't have time to do scans. Which is more preferable? You want me to do scans or do you want me to make last pickup? I will say sometimes they can fund off of scans. More than likely on a seller packet. It's a little harder to do on a purchase packet. Depends on the lender. Sometimes they want the originals in hand. So I'm not going to assume. But sometimes off of a seller packet, they might be able to. If you cannot get a hold of the signing service, this is my opinion, what I would do. If I can't get a hold of the signing service, we finish the signing, I only have enough time to make last pickup or scans. I don't have time for both. What I'm going to do, this is what I would do in my opinion. I would make the last pickup if the disbursement date is tomorrow, the next day. I would rather them have it in hand. I would double and triple check that I did not miss a single stamp or initial or date, signature. I am triple checking I did not miss anything. And then I am going and just shipping it out. And I'm just going to put my completion update and say, signing is complete. Everything went well. Here's a copy of their ID. I did not have time to do scans. The last pickup is right now. And I noticed the disbursement date is tomorrow. So to make sure that the title company or law firm gets the documents, originals in hand tomorrow, I made the decision to drop off since I reached out and no one answered me. That is what I would do. I am paying attention to that disbursement date. I am being very aware and I am putting it as a priority. I am making sure it is shipping out in time. Or if you work direct, like I just work direct. If I'm doing a closing Monday night and the disbursement date is tomorrow, I am taking it there first thing in the morning and dropping it off first thing in the morning so that they can work and fund off of this. It's so important because we don't know what the people went through to get approved for, let's just say it's a purchase, for this loan. We don't know what hoops they had to go through, what co-borrowers they had to ask for help, which gift funds they had to get acquired, what letters of explanation, proofs of residence, all this different proof of occupation, everything they had to do. We don't understand what they had to go through. And now because of us, they don't get the loan because we just took our time. We're like, oh, I'll have another signing. You need to give yourself enough time. If you have a signing at 2 o'clock and last pickup is at 4 o'clock, 4:30, and then you pick up at 3 o'clock, you're probably cutting it short. It's not worth it because you might think, well, I got to get as much money as I can. Well, if you miss the cutoff, they might not even pay you anyway because they didn't fund it. Or maybe there's a interest rate lock or extension. You don't know all the details. It's not our job to know all the details. It's our job to print, drive, sign, stamp, ship out before last pickup. That's our job. Go explain, give brief description, not explain, but give brief descriptions of the documents. It's so important. People, I've had situations where people did not get to move into their home that weekend because the notary did not ship it in time. And as a signing service, I believe us as signing services, it's our job to make sure that we're tracking the orders. So I tell my schedulers, we have closings on the East Coast happening. Hey, track those in the afternoon. Make sure they're tracking. If not, let's reach out to those East Coast notaries and make sure it's shipping out. And then for the Pacific Mountain times, we're following that a little later and say, hey, this is not shipped out yet. Is it on its way? So we do that. We're a very proactive signing service. I think signing services should be a little proactive, making sure that they're tracking the documents so that the title companies or law firms or mortgage companies are getting the documents back in time. So important. please, I'm begging all of you watching and listening to pay attention to the disbursement date. Make it a priority to ship it out. Give yourself time. Don't run short. I just had a great notary, Matthew, out in Florida. We just said, hey, this is not tracking. Where's it at? And he said, oh my gosh, I had all these closings today and I just kind of spaced it. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to make the last drop. He's like, I apologize profusely. Here are copies. Here, he uploaded scans anyway. But he's like, I'm going to drive to the title company tomorrow and drop it off. It was a 2.5 hour drive each way, and he made it work. That's a peak signing agent. Some deduction points for missing the last pickup, but he was going to go out of his way to make sure it got taken care of. The title company was very understanding and appreciative. And they messaged me when he dropped it off and said, hey, the notary arrived and he dropped it off. In fact, that notary the next morning, even though we told our client, we're so sorry that this notary is an amazing notary. However, he just dropped the ball on this one time. Here are copies to hold you over. In the meantime, hopefully this will help. But the notary will drive over there and be there tomorrow afternoon. And they messaged us back the next day and said, yes, actually the notary called us and was apologetic and he got it done. We'll wait for him to drop it off. Unfortunately, we can't fund off the scans, so we do need the originals. And then they messaged us later and said, he did drop it off. What a nice guy. He was very apologetic. I said, yes, I've given this notary some mentorship and advice, and we use him a lot, and he feels awful. That's why he feels so terrible, and he drove it down there. We use him all the time, and they said, keep using him. So even though he made a big mistake, he corrected his mistake, and even our client said, keep using him. We want you to keep using him for our files. So that just shows if you go out of your way and become a peak signing agent, it's appreciative, it's recognized. But it will also be passed around if you do not make the last pickup and you just don't seem to care about it. We should be caring. We should care. You stepped into this role not just for the money, not because for the ease of the job, not because of the flexibility of the schedule. Those are all great perks. But you got into this role to be in the service industry, and you need to focus on providing great service. And that's paying attention to that disbursement date and making sure it ships out and arrives on time. Look for it. If you've never paid attention to it before, look for it on the disbursement date. Look for that. I recently had a notary where he didn't ship it out in time. I'm like, hey, what happened? What happened to this? He was like, oh, I had something to do and I just didn't make it in time. And I said, and this was not too far. This was maybe an hour away. I said, you should have communicated with me. He's like, so I shipped it out today instead. I'm like, you should have communicated with me because we could have met up. As a signing service, we're always trying to, fight fires. And I said, we could have met up. I could have met you halfway and grabbed those documents and then ran them back to the title company. There's things we could have done instead of just being like, well, I didn't make it yesterday, so I'll ship it out today. And I said, pay attention to the disbursement date. These people are not moving in now because of your delay. He said, I'm so sorry. I'll pay attention to that next time. So look for that. If you haven't paid attention before, pay attention now, especially at month end, but always pay attention to it. Look for it. Find it. It will make you a peak signing agent. And I'll talk to you next episode. Bye.